Hello, welcome back. When people hear the name Michael English, what often comes to mind first is his voice. Full of emotion, deep, smooth, and undeniably powerful. It wasn't just his vocal strength that set him apart, but the way he delivered each note with a balance of softness and thunder, capable of lifting you or breaking your heart. For years, he stood out in Southern gospel, contemporary Christian music, and especially as a key member of the Gaither Vocal Band. But the story of Michael English isn't just about music or success. It's the story of a man who reached the highest peaks of fame and faith, only to crash into the lowest valleys of shame, addiction, and personal loss, and then, by grace, climb back again. Michael English's journey is compelling because it's not clean or predictable. He was adored, celebrated, and widely respected in Christian music circles. But when his personal failures came to light, that same community, which had once elevated him, was quick to condemn. The scandal came suddenly, at the height of his solo career in 1994, with awards, chart-topping songs, and widespread admiration. Michael's affair with another Christian singer became public. Everything he had built seemed to fall apart overnight. He lost his record deal. Performances were cancelled, and the community that once loved him turned its back. The public collapse wasn't just about career failure. It was a spiritual, emotional undoing that would haunt him for years. In those dark moments, Michael tried to navigate life outside the spotlight. He struggled with pain and regret, and turned to prescription drugs to cope with emotional wounds he could no longer hide. It wasn't just about a back injury anymore. It became a way to numb the emptiness. For a long time, Michael disappeared. He stopped performing regularly, and even when he did sing again, something was missing. The world had moved on, but he had not. His soul was still in pieces. But there's something powerful about brokenness. When it's brought into the light, Michael eventually chose to confront his pain. He went to therapy, leaned into his faith, and began the long, slow process of healing, not for applause, not to reclaim fame, but to reclaim himself. He spoke honestly about his past, not to defend it, but to make peace with it. His return to music was quiet, marked not by grandeur, but by humility. When he rejoined the Gaither Vocal Band years later, it wasn't about regaining his old place. It was about finding a new purpose. He was welcomed not just as a singer, but as someone who had been forgiven and was ready to share his story with honesty. That story, the redemption, the hard truths, the grace that followed failure, began to define Michael English in a new way. His concerts became less about performing and more about ministering. He talked openly about his past mistakes, about addiction, about falling from grace, and through that honesty, his voice carried something new. There was still beauty and power in his singing, but now there was also the unmistakable weight of experience. You could hear the pain, but you could also hear the hope. Michael English no longer sings just to impress. He sings because he's lived through something, and he knows others have too. His message today is about second chances, about how failure doesn't have to end your story. His voice, once polished and perfect, now carries cracks, but those cracks let the light through. And that light is grace. He no longer tries to be the golden boy. He doesn't need to be. What matters is the authenticity he brings. His fall was public, but so was his restoration. Now Michael sings with a deeper understanding of mercy. He stands not as a man who never made mistakes, but as someone who has seen the worst of himself and still chooses to believe in the best of God. His legacy isn't just a list of songs or awards. It's a testimony, a reminder that no matter how far someone falls, grace can still reach further. And when he sings, "In Christ Alone," it's not just a performance. It's his story, a declaration that, even when the world lets go, there is still something solid to hold on to. Michael English's life is more than a music career. It's a gospel in motion, a narrative of failure met by grace, of pain turned into purpose. For anyone who's ever wondered if they could come back from a mistake, his story says yes. It's not about perfection. It's about redemption. It's not about being celebrated. It's about being forgiven.